But what
Okay.
was funny about it was in the living room, there's a bar going across, and there was two urinals that were
In the living.
in
Oh
the living
my.
room, and there was a beer tap in the bathroom. There was also a TV in the shower. I mean, it was
My name is Kevin McIntosh, and this is the closing table where we talk to experts about their experience in real estate all across the country. Let's go. All right, welcome to another episode, a new season of the closing table. I am your host, Kevin C. McIntosh, and joining us on this very special inaugural episode, I should say, we want to welcome top producing real estate professional Doug Worsley. How you doing, Doug?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on the show.
Hey, thank you. Per usual, I want to say thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule. I know you could be out there closing deals, getting clients together, but you're here with us today, so thank you. But we are here for you to share some of that knowledge on what makes you a top producing real estate professional. But before we get into that, let's start off with a little casual game called word association, Doug. It's essentially exactly what it sounds like. I got a couple words, and I just want you to give me your first reaction to them, whatever comes to mind, whether that's another word, a definition, a story, whatever comes to mind. You ready?
Okay.
All right, let's do this. First one, homeowner.
Homeowner, American Dream.
Nice. Amortization.
Amortization is it's all about money, and what most people don't realize what it means. But amortization is spreading out your money over a certain period of time.
Nice. Real estate developer.
Ooh, real estate developer. I think of investor, millionaire.
Mm.
First thing that comes
Mm.
to my mind.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Here we go. Real estate developer. Oh, I'm sorry. Home equity loan.
Home equity loan, HELOCs. In my A great thing for investors. You can
Mm-hmm.
take a home equity loan to invest. So it's a tool more than it is a loan.
Got you. Last one, assessed value.
Assessed value. Ooh, that's a first thing that comes to my mind is I have no idea what comes to my mind on that one. The assessed value. I mean, first thing I think of is popping in my head is what everyone thinks of a value of a home is different. So you have a
Mhm.
homeowner's value, you have an assessor's of value, you got a real estate professional's value. So um, I'm just
No,
thinking.
that's interesting. You said that. I just recently said. I mean values are subjective. Values
They
are
are.
subjective. So I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
it can
well,
be a different value depending on who it's coming from.
and in today's market, the value of your home is what a buyer is willing to pay. It
Mm-hmm.
has nothing to do
Mm-hmm.
with what I think it's worth, what you think it's worth, or what the appraiser think it's worth. It's
Right.
all about what the buyer thinks it's worth.
Precisely. Well said. Well played, man. Thank you, Doug, for starting
Man, that
things
was a
off
hard
that
one.
way. He said, "Hey, we got into it, man. That's what we're here for. We're here to talk and get it out on this podcast, on this show." Hey, so I like to separate the professional from the person. So
Okay.
we start off with you telling us 60 seconds or less, or just take your time, Doug. Tell us, who is Doug outside of real estate?
Oh, all right. Well, that one's pretty easy. I mean, I'm a down to earth guy. I married my high school sweetheart. 1 year after high school.
Nice.
We've been married 32 years. We did the.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you, appreciate that. We just had our 32 anniversary 2 weeks ago. We raised two successful daughters.
Beautiful.
My grandson, I have a grandson now. He just turned one last week, so that's exciting.
Hey, look at you.
So yeah, I mean, I'm not just old. I'm an old grandpa. So, um, but no, outside of that, I'm an avid outdoorsman. I love hunting, fishing, boating. We have some ATVs. We got property up north.
Mm,
We do camping, hiking. Anything to do with the outdoors, I'm in. I'm all about the nature and just enjoying taking the time to enjoy life
there
in
you
general.
go. There you go. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. That's success
So
right there. Your family, you well balanced from what it sounds like, successful on both ends, on your personal life and your professional life. So beautiful, beautiful. Love to hear
I
that.
appreciate it.
All right. With that being said, you said you own some property up north. So let's get specific with where you are geographically as far as your current market that you're serving. Can you explain for me and our audience where you are as far as your location geographically? Then let's talk about your current market economically with real estate.
Sure, sure. So my office that I'm with Keller Williams at Advantage, which is out of Novi. We have a
Mm-hmm.
Novi and a Northville office. I actually reside in Canton, Michigan, so pretty close to each other.
Gotcha.
So majority of my business comes from the Wayne, Oakland County areas. However, I love helping people. That's my biggest thing. That's the reason why I got into real estate is all about helping people.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gone as far west as Jackson. I've gone to Mount Clemens. I've gone down as far as Adrian, and I've even gone all the way up to Gladwin because I have a place in Harrison, is right next to Gladwin, right? So if it makes sense for me to help you out, and I can make sure that the client is getting the best, I'm going to help you out. If it's outside of
Nice.
my realm, like if it's outside, like out by Traverse City or Sheboygan or something like that, I don't know anything about that area, so I can't really help you. So I'm going to refer you out to a better agent than myself,
Okay.
that can help you
Okay.
out. So,
Okay.
so outside of that, I got into real estate, in 2020. I used to work for an automotive company, and I think it was October 1st when I got my license, but I didn't really get into it until January 21. I've
Okay.
had 62 closings. Average closings is about 240,000. I'm about 60% lister versus buyers, and
Gotcha. Gotcha.
my average days on market's about 6 days on market. So
Hmm.
pretty quick.
Okay. Wow, yeah, that is. That is relatively speaking. Okay. Good, good. Thanks for the information, that background on where you're currently working. So, I mean, you spoke on it slightly. Let's get into about your previous occupation. What previous
Okay.
occupation do you feel like provided you with the skills and knowledge that you use to your advantage as a realtor today?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I used to work for a company called Yazaki North America. It's out of
Hmm.
Canton. I spent 28 years of my life there. A majority of it was in quality, which was I was a quality manager, I was a quality engineer. So being in quality, you realize it's all about the facts. It's about investigation. It's about details.
Right.
Those things and um, investigations and stuff like that. That's what helped me get to where I'm at today. As far as I had to negotiate and all those things, so it just kind of built me to where my real estate business. It was pretty easy transition for me. I came
Mm,
in into the real estate. I already know, about negotiations. I'm used to that. I'm very detail oriented. So I look at all the details. So like when I run comps, I'm used to comparing data. So
right.
it's easy for me to run comps and making sure that I get that right price, starting point. And then outside of that, I also on the side, it wasn't really a profession, but I do a lot of renovations. I've built houses, I've put on roofs, I've done drywall, I can do paint, I can do plumbing, I can do
Okay.
electrical. So
Nice.
when I go through a house with a client, I'm able to see things and identify them right off the bat and say, hey, this is not a big deal. This is something that people freak out about electrical or plumbing. Yeah, it's really not that big of a deal. It's like $500 to fix this. Let's not, kill the deal over that little small little item. So I think both of those things put together, um, and then obviously with the personality skills, it just, I think it just allowed my real estate business to flourish.
Hmm. So I had a question regarding that. You said you get down and do some of that hands-on work yourself in regards to electrical and things of that nature. So have
Correct.
you actually done contract work for some of your clients?
I have done work. I didn't call it contract work because I am not a contractor. I'm not licensed.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
So
Excuse
I
me.
have to tell them that right up front. But
Hmm.
absolutely, I do help out a lot of clients. There's, clients that don't have the funds up front or something like that. I'm there to help them out. I've done some electrical work for some people. We had a situation where I was doing an estate sale 2 months ago, and we had some issues with the painter, and the painter backed out. I went over there and painted the whole house for him. Right?
Oh
I took,
wow.
rolled up the sleeves and said, "Hey, I'm here to help you out," because they didn't have any money to do it.
The whole
Um,
house.
well, it was a living room, two, three bedrooms, and a bathroom, so in the kitchen, so almost the whole house.
Yeah. There, that's essentially.
Essentially the whole
I
house,
give
right?
you that. Yep.
But either way, I mean, they ran into a situation, and
Right.
they had some money already set aside, and we already paid the painter, half the amount. So there's no way that they could have got another painter in there to redo everything for only half the money.
Mm.
So, I called up a friend of mine and said, "Hey, why don't we go over there and take care of my client for him?" So I took a day off of real estate work and went over there and helped him out, and made sure that my client was satisfied.
There it is. Look at you. Okay. Okay.
So,
And just for clarity, because
mhm.
now I want to actually get that out there for people who may not know the difference between the general work that you've done and a contractor. You said there's a license that needs to take place. What does it take to get that license exactly?
Well, I mean, a lot of it is just a test. I mean, you have to go through you know, just like a real estate license, right? In order to
Right.
get a real estate license, we had to put in 40 hours and then take a test. You have to do the same thing if you want to be a contractor, a true contractor, right?
Got you.
And then you want to be insured and stuff like that. I am not insured. I'm not like that. I'm just a homeowner that does work. Okay, so
Got you. Okay.
as a homeowner, you are allowed to pull permits and do any work that you want to do on the home, as long as you're
Mm.
following the guidelines and you get it inspected properly and everything like that. So as that, I can't pull a permit for them because I'm not a contractor, right?
Got
So
you.
if I'm going to
Got
do
you.
some electrical work, they have to pull the permit. They have to
Mm.
take the responsibility for it. So there is a responsibility on their side, but at the same time, it's a lot cheaper cost than hiring somebody else. Now,
Got you.
obviously, if it's a big job that's going to take me 3 or 4 or 5 days, I mean, you know, I can't put my business on hold for 3 or 4 or 5 days, right?
Correct.
I'm only doing small jobs. I'm only doing, 2 3 hour jobs type deal, something that doesn't even make it worth it for a true electrician to come out there or a true plumber to really come out there.
I feel you.
Um, because it's no money for them to come out to change a $50 fixture, right?
Mm.
I can turn around and change that for them, and it's not a big deal.
Right. Right.
Because
Makes sense.
I don't want to downplay any profession, because those professions, they have all the knowledge. They have a lot more knowledge than I would ever have, right?
100%.
So I'm not
100%.
stepping outside of my zone. I just know enough knowledge to get small jobs done.
Got you, got you. Yeah, and like I said, I just want to clarify that because even I, didn't necessarily know like what's that thin line. But I'm glad you clarified that the homeowner or the contractor only are the only two allowed to pull permits in order to do certain work. And if the
Correct.
homeowner decides to pull that permit or get that permit, they then take responsibility and they can call over, some help if they wanted to outside of contractor. Correct?
Correct. Correct. And
Got you, got
they
you,
could still pull the permit and call a contractor if they wanted.
got
It's
you.
not the right
Okay.
thing to do, because then they're taking responsibility and they have no leeway to get that
Mm-hmm.
contractor to finish the job,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Or to be not finish the job, but to make sure they're also responsible. So if it doesn't meet the inspection, you got nothing to go for, because the homeowner's the one that pulled the permit, right? So there's a
got you,
risk at a homeowner pulling the permit, but for most cases, like I said, for the small stuff that I'm going to do, there's really no risk.
got you. Yeah,
And I know a lot of contractors. I know electricians and plumbers. So normally I'm going to refer them out to them. But like I said, if it's a small job, they just need a little fixture and they don't have, the money to call somebody out there, I'll step up and take care of it for them.
definitely makes you more valuable, more of an asset in many different ways. So I can understand that. That's what's up, Doug. Okay, so I want you to explain another situation where you would help a client, and this is, I guess, in a financial way, it's kind of sort of right. So imagine you dealing with a client who initially is maybe not be in a position where they can get a pre-approval for a home, whether that's the cash or the credit that they have. But
Hmm.
then you work with them to the point to where they do get pre-approved. Have you been in that situation? If so, can you share a story?
Sure. Well, fortunately, I mean, for most part, most of my clients are already pre-approved.
Got
All
you.
right. But the ones that come to me, or the ones that are kind of, on the fence about going one way or another, again, I don't want to step outside of my zone. I know
Mm-hmm.
enough to guide them, but I am not a mortgage broker. So I align myself with mortgage brokers, so mortgage
Correct.
companies. So I have some that, and I have three different ones that I align myself with, and all three of those do different type of deals, right? Some of them go all the way low as 580 credit score.
Mm-hmm.
Some only go to 620 credit score. Some have better buy down I said products, but better buy down uh, programs. That's what I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Programs, whereas other ones might have a different type of program for them. Some offer MISHDA loans, some don't. So, depending on the
Okay.
person, I like to sit down with them with the initial call. Like if Kevin, if you called me up and said, "Hey, Doug, I want to buy a house. Where do I even get started?" We would have a consultation. We would sit down. I would try to, ask you some personal questions like, "Where's your finances? How much you making? What are you doing here? What do you think your credit score is?" And then based off of that, I would say, "Hey, I think you should probably call this mortgage person or this mortgage person." I
Mm.
might have you call both of them to say, "Hey, see which one's better for you, which one's a better fit,"
Right.
right? Ultimately, you want to align yourself with somebody that is knowledgeable and someone that's going to have the same care that I have to make sure that we get the job done, because purchasing a home is one of the biggest purchases you're ever going to make in your life.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yes,
So,
indeedy. Okay.
yeah,
And I'm glad. See, I know your lane is more in the, buying and selling of properties. So that is kind of like stepping outside of your boundaries. But the fact is, a lot of people or some people are under the I guess you could say they're under the impression that they can reach out to a realtor at any point, whether they already reached out to a mortgage company or not. They're saying, let me just reach out to a realtor. I haven't even checked my credit yet. So it's just kind of giving perspective as to how you can help, even though that's not necessarily your lane, is how
yeah,
I
no,
want to
and
bring
that's
that full circle.
absolutely. I mean, it's funny you bring it up like that because I actually
Mm-hmm.
did receive a call yesterday. This particular lady is looking at buying, a $500,000 house. She tells me that she's making about 100 grand roughly, right? And but
Mm-hmm.
she gets child support, and then she makes her 100, but her 100,000 that she's making is from like Uber and Lyft and things like that, which is your
Wow.
self-employment, right? So if you're in
Yes.
self-employment, then you have to have a couple years worth of
Correct.
income in order to qualify. So I just gather the information and I give her some steps, and if I know that they're ready to talk to a mortgage broker, I lean them over to the mortgage broker. If
Mm,
I could give them some tips, I'll give them some tips.
mm.
Outside of that, my wife and I, we are investors as well. We do hard money loans for investors,
Oh,
and stuff
okay.
like that. So there was one time in March where it's a crazy market out there, and I'm sure you've heard the term "cash is king," right?
Yes.
Everyone wants cash, right? Cash deals. So we were in a situation where we're going up against a cash buyer, and the person had to sell their home, and so we were looking at bridge loans. And if we couldn't do the bridge loan, I was going to do a hard money loan. I was going to put a lien on their house to pay off their mortgage, so that way we have cash to buy the next one. So
Mm.
that's not a deal I have done yet, but it's still an option. If the funds are available, and I just got paid off on a different hard money loan, so the funds were available. I was able to offer that to my client and say, look, we could do this. I could loan you this amount of money, pay off your mortgage, and then we can turn around and buy this next one, and then we turn around, list your house, sell it, and then you pay me off, and then we're good to go.
Gotcha.
So
All right.
there's
So,
multiple options out there.
right. So just for clarity, also, a hard money loan is essentially just a loan that you would get from a private lender like yourself rather than going to a traditional institution.
Correct.
And I'm
Correct.
assuming there would be higher interest rates and things of that nature. Is there anything else that we should be aware of?
Yeah, usually a hard money loan it's going to be, a lot of them on average are about 12% interest rate.
Mm. Okay.
But they're usually short term, right? They're not
Gotcha.
meant for long term. Like some people will, but I'm never going to loan my money for someone to purchase a house.
Hmm.
What I was talking about was this person owed very little on their current home. I
Gotcha.
was going to be able to pay that current home off and put a lien on that current home in order for them to buy the next home. And then once they do, I can turn around and sell that house. So it would be a contract that states that I am only giving you this loan to do this type of process.
Mm.
And sorry, my table just changed. Um, but again, it's not something I've really dipped into yet. So, but
Got
I
you,
made
got
it
you.
an option because again, I was looking out for my client. We wanted to buy this house. Unfortunately, we still got outbid, so we didn't
Oh,
win.
good.
Um,
That's part of the game. I get
yeah, it is,
it.
But outside of that, I mean, like I said, we do our hard money loans with some other companies, some flippers, some apartment syndications.
Mm,
We're also getting into Airbnb. My wife and I are going to be doing that coming up, so we're trying to utilize our money for that right now,
got you.
and
Okay.
take that next venture.
I got you. All right. Different avenues, different channels of
Yeah,
investment. Smart man.
kind of
Can't
goes
be
back to
mad at it.
like I want to be that millionaire thing that I said at the beginning.
And that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Love it. Okay. Hey, so our sponsor, Window Steel, they
Yes.
have photographers all across the country. They go into, help different agents. They go inside different properties of all different styles.
Yep.
So they always have stories of different properties that they see. Now, you being a real estate agent, I know that you have properties that you've seen that are crazy. So can you please share a story here at the closing table of one of the craziest properties you've ever seen?
Craziest property. So it's funny. Now, this particular property was not my listing, but it was somebody in my office,
Mm-hmm.
Heidi Wilson. She had a property in Ferndale, and this was a true bachelor pad. Okay. It was just a
Oh
ranch
man.
house, but it had a basketball set up in the backyard, but the basketball court was Detroit Lions. It was all painted out. But what
Okay.
was funny about it was in the living room, there's a bar going across, and there was two urinals that were
In the living.
in the
Oh
living
my.
room, and there was a beer tap in the bathroom. There was also a TV in the shower. I mean, it was
Whoa.
definitely a place that was different.
Man,
Um,
talk about a man that forget
that
a
was
man cave. That's a man
yeah,
mountain right there. That's
that's
a whole
it
mountain.
was. It was all. The urinal thing just kind of throws me off because just to have it out there in
Yes.
the living room is a little on the weird side. But so that would probably
Wow.
be the weirdest thing. But as far as myself, in Michigan, especially now with Michigan being a marijuana safe zone or free
Mm.
state,
It's
you see a
interesting. Yep.
lot of grow rooms. I've seen some
Mm.
pretty sophisticated grow rooms where they put a lot of money into growing marijuana in their basement or in their garage. So
And we're talking about
uh,
in regular residential single
regular,
home.
yes, yep.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
you see
Wow.
them where they got cameras everywhere, and they got the filterizations, the air conditioning, and I'm not a grower myself, so I don't know all the other stuff that they use, but
Mm-hmm.
the heat lamps. The biggest thing for me as a realtor as I'm walking through there, because you can tell right away is when I have a buyer, I'm looking out for moisture. If you're putting that much moisture into a basement, I want to make sure that, where's that moisture going? Was it controlled well enough to where it's not, going to create a mold situation?
Right.
But
Right.
outside of that, that's pretty much what I've seen.
Huh. That's
So,
interesting. Yeah, yeah, those are definitely some crazy properties right
yeah.
there. That bachelor pad one, that's a good clip for us right there. All right, all right. So, can you talk about other obstacles that you may have had to overcome in a transaction? Any unexpected obstacle from your career that you overcame and you was like, wow, that one stuck out.
Well, I think any obstacle is easily overcome if you just take the time to figure it out, right? And not stress over
Yep.
it.
Mm-hmm.
I think what comes to mind, I've had a couple different ones where I had a situation where I was a listing side and I was working with a buyer. That buyer happened to be using one of my mortgage brokers, which was nice. We get ready to close. We're 2 days away from closing, and then we find out that he had a bankruptcy that was just filed last year. You can't buy a house if you had a bankruptcy, right? So now the whole deal
Wow.
is dead. We've just wasted 30 days, and we're finding out the deal is dead. So, I'm putting a lot of pressure on the mortgage company. And, I called the owner. He turned around and jumped on it like that. Turns out he didn't have a bankruptcy last year. He had it 3 years ago, which is acceptable. It's
Okay.
just that he didn't file his taxes 3 years ago. So he filed it last year. So it popped up, and that's the reason why they didn't find it originally. because that's
Uh,
so it had nothing to do with the mortgage company. The mortgage company did exactly what they were supposed to do, but
right.
when it goes to underwriting, underwriting found it on found it as a little hiccup, and it almost killed the deal. But luckily, we had to postpone it for 2 days, but we were able to close that deal.
Oh, only
Um,
2 days. That's not bad.
yeah, yeah, so it wasn't bad. And then other than that, we had a conservatorship that we had to deal with where you know um, a particular person, we didn't realize this when we first set up the house to sell the house. And when we're getting ready to go through title comes back and says, well, there's a conservatorship. So everyone that we had originally signed, it has to be signed by somebody else now. So again, it puts a little delay in it, but I mean, a delay is fine. I mean, if you're only delaying 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
Nothing to
yeah,
stress over.
yeah,
So
yeah. I get it. Okay, nice. I mean, look, your career, life in general, it's always gonna serve you some curveballs, man. So I like what you
always,
said when you started off. Like you can get through any and all problems. You just sit and just think about your options and not really just let it overshadow everything. And you can find a way.
yeah,
You can find a
emotion.
way.
You got to take the emotion out of it, right? It's a business
Mm-hmm.
transaction, and you have to think about what's it going to take to get to the closing table. Ultimately, the goal is to be a win-win for both sides,
Correct.
right? It's
Correct.
not about me. It's not about my client. It's about everybody that's involved.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to get to that closing table, right? What
Mhm.
do we got to do to get to the closing table? And let's just, take the emotions out of it. Don't get upset about it. It is what it is. Let's move forward and get the
Yeah.
job done.
Yep. Consideration. That's what it takes right there. And perspective also. So
Yeah.
this is what I want to hear from you, Doug.
Uh-oh.
I've heard of real estate agents gifting their clients different things after they close, maybe a little gift basket, bottle of
Yeah.
champagne. I've seen people give full authentic Louis Vuitton bags. I'm like, wow. So can you talk about one of the craziest gifts you've either given someone or you've seen other agents give someone?
Um, well, the Louis Vuitton would be a big one for me, but
Yeah, I know,
no, for
right?
me, I think it just depends on. I try to give good gifts myself. Okay,
Right,
so
right.
obviously I have to make enough money in real estate to support my lifestyle, but at the same time, I love giving back to people. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so a lot of my gifts end up being Ring doorbells or Nest.
Ooh, ooh,
The Nest
yeah.
thermostats.
That's a good one, actually.
Um, but I had a client that I do giveaways throughout the year. I was
Mm-hmm.
giving away a grill, a Blackstone grill with an air fryer. I had a
Mm.
client that tried to win it and did not win, and he was kind of upset about it. We just so happened to be closing like 2 weeks later, so I bought him one and gave him one.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So I love giving back. I try to give gifts as much as I can. Everyone loves getting free stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the most elaborate gift I gave was the Blackstone with an air fryer. It was five hundred
Yeah,
dollar
that sounds
gift.
good. I'm like, oh man, I want to close
Um,
with you. That's good. You know.
so, but with that said, I mean, you're truly. I mean, you can only from a tax purpose, you can only claim I think like $50 of that or something like that. So
Ah,
that's where you got to be
ah.
careful of, it's not really a tax write-off. People think it's a tax write-off, but you're only allowed to give so much because otherwise then you're buying your lead or you're buying your your business, which is
Yeah.
illegal. You can't do
Yep.
that, right?
Yep. I got
So,
it.
but giving a gift just to give a gift is okay. It's just
Right. Right.
you can't do it from a business standpoint of, hey, I'm going to give you this gift if you buy a house with
Yeah.
me or type deal.
Correct.
So yeah, so you got to be careful on what you're given. But
Mm-hmm.
depending on the deal and depends on what you get.
Yeah, see, I'm clearly not a real estate agent, but I imagine if you're giving out Louis Vuitton bags as a closing gift, you have some margin there. I would just imagine,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah, yeah.
but
I'm assuming.
to think about it though, right? Like if you go, because this person went viral. That's how I found about it. I saw it on my social media feed.
Yeah,
I'm like, if you're known for giving that out, some people in a crazy way will say, "Oh my God, I want to close a house with him so I can get a Louis Vuitton bag." And when you
Yeah,
think about like this big purchase that you're about to make just for this Louis Vuitton bag, it's crazy. That's like
it
when we
is
go to the
crazy.
arcade and spend all this money for a stuffed bunny rabbit that we could have paid $5 for.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. People just when it says free, people love it.
Yeah. Oh
Absolutely
my
love it. Right.
goodness.
So that's why I do my giveaways. But like I said, my giveaways, they're
That's
open to
wild.
everybody. Anybody
Mm-hmm.
can. If you go to my Facebook, you'll see I give away Lions tickets. I give away Red Wings
Yeah, I saw
tickets.
that. Yeah.
So all you got to do is it's available for everybody, and I just like to give back. And
Nice.
but it's weird, like you said. Doesn't matter if you buy $100,000 house or $1 million house. If you're giving away, again, you got to be careful on how you're giving it away because there's rules and regulations about what you're allowed to give away.
Yeah.
But if you're
Yeah.
just giving it away as a gift, not necessarily as a part of the transaction, you can give away whatever you want. So that's what that person that's giving away that Louis Vuitton. I'm sure that that's probably the way that they did it is just as a normal gift and not as a closing gift, right? Because closing gifts
Right.
are limited.
Oh, there you go.
Um, but yeah, it's weird. You're gonna come to me and you can get a free grill if you buy a house with me is not a good reason to come to me. You should be coming to me because I know what I'm doing. I know how to get you the
Correct.
deal. I would rather save you, $5,000 or $6,000 on a house purchase than give you a $500 grill or a
Yeah.
$1,000 Louis Vuitton. I don't know what those cost, but I know they're outside of my realm. I buy the
Mm.
$10 wallet from from Target. So
Likewise. Likewise. It's the money that's inside that really matters.
yes, that's correct.
That's right.
Correct.
So there's different agents who say they build relationships with their clients afterwards. As a matter of fact, I had a guest on who said she went to one of her recent clients' homes that she helped her close on, and she was over there like actually holding the baby that they just recently had while she was pregnant, and they were doing the house hunting. So she was just explaining how it came full circle, how she's built this relationship with them, and now she's watching her daughter and things of that nature. So
Right.
a lot of agents have relationships outside of the closing. Can you talk about a particularly rewarding relationship that you've built with the client after a closing?
Well, I try to do that with all my clients. For
Right.
me, you're not just a client. You're all when you do business with me, you're now all of a sudden my friend. Okay, I'm gonna sit there and do whatever. I get invited out to people's houses. We go on, for boat rides, for grilling out. I went to one of my clients, who's Indian descent. I went to her house for her 1 year birthday, for the baby's 1 year birthday. You know,
Nice.
I'm the only guy there that's not Indian, but so but it's okay. I mean, like
There
I
you
said,
go.
I made
Hmm.
enough connection. That's what makes me feel good. I made a connection that they want me to be there for one of the most important, birthdays of their child's birthday, their first birthday. They wanted me at that party. That's
There
the
you
reason
go.
why I do what I do, right? I
Yeah.
want that connection. And the same thing, I invite, a lot of my clients out to things that I do. I do try to do client events to where I invite everybody out. I just did a neighborhood event where I brought in an ice cream truck and served like free ice cream to my whole neighborhood.
Ooh,
You
look at you.
know, just because, like I said, I like relationships. I like making people happy.
Hmm.
I want to see the smile on their face when we're done, and that's really what the whole goal is.
There it
So,
is. That's exciting. You're doing a lot of things that just make it seem like I just want you in my life, Doug. I just want you to
see,
like around me or something.
well, see,
Got
but
ice
we're
cream
not
trucks
standing
and
next to
stuff.
each other. But here, take a picture of this business card.
Yep.
I'm handing it to
Screenshot.
you.
Yeah.
Give me a call when you're ready to buy or sell.
Right.
No, I mean, like I said, it's buying a house or selling a house is very stressful and it's
Hmm.
by itself, right? My goal is to take that stress away. Okay. My wife and I, we talk about this all the time. I'm not a salesman. I'm not selling you anything that you
There
don't
you
want to
go.
buy. Okay. What I am is I am a marketing expert. I'm a negotiator. And by all means, I'm going to try and be your friend. And my goal is to get you the most money or to save you the most money. But most importantly, to make sure everything is legally binding and you're covered from a legal standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Oh
right?
yeah, that's probably the most important one for
And I
sure.
can't, obviously I'm going to miss stuff because I'm not, again, I'm not an inspector. I never tell any of my clients to never get an inspection, right? A lot of
Right.
people will bypass inspections today. I tell every one of my clients, I don't agree with that. You should always inspect that house, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would hate for you to buy a house, then you have to spend 20 grand dig something up or the foundation up, as soon as you buy it. So
Right. Right.
let's do a go no go. All right. What a go no go is we're going to do the inspection. We're either going to buy the house or we're not going to buy the house. We're not going to ask the people for money. We need to know before we buy the house what the condition of that house is.
Mm.
So so it's just stuff like that that I try to make sure my clients are well aware of.
Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, and rightfully so. Doing your due diligence. You talked about how you've done some different events for the community, but can you talk about a volunteer or community service event that you have participated in or continuously participate in that's very near and dear to you and attached to you personally?
Okay, yeah. So, well, with Keller Williams has what's called Red Day every year. So this is one thing that I guarantee that I'm always going to be involved in is we give back to the community one time a year. We shut down, we don't do any business that day, and we just turn around and we help the community. Um, this year it was more near and dear to my heart because this year we're helping um, the Cancer Foundation of Michigan, the Blood
Mm,
Foundation.
mm.
And for those of you that don't know, I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I didn't think I was going to be alive today. So I
Oh
think
wow.
from what I read, I thought I was going to have less than 5 years to live. Okay, so this was back in 2016, so I've surpassed that. So I'm doing okay now. But
There you go.
that was important to me. So it really hit home when I had nothing to do with it, but my office here at Keller Williams Advantage, they chose this particular foundation to help for this year, and we did a blood drive here at our office, and people came in. I can't remember how many pints it was, but we had like 30 some people come in, donate blood, and we donated money, and so it's just it's anytime I can give back, I would love to give back. As I've been saying since the whole podcast, I love helping people. It's if you called me up today and said, "Hey, Doug, can you help me out? Can you come by here and change my tire?" Dude, just give me your address. I'll swing on by.
There it is.
No strings attached.
Man, a man with a story of strength. Gotta love it, man. Happy to have you here. That's beautiful to know, man. Happy to have you here. So are you currently a homeowner? Let me start off with that first.
Yes, I am a homeowner. I own a
Okay.
home in Canton, and as I stated earlier, I have some property up in Upper
This
Michigan.
is correct. This is
Yep.
correct. Okay.
So I have a home up there with 115 acres, and then I also own some acreage up in the UP with some family members.
That is correct. Okay. Forgive me for that. So that,
Nope,
that
it's
leads
all good.
into my follow-up question. If you did not own any homes today in 2023, and you were aspiring to own a home with the knowledge and the resources that you know of today, what would your approach to owning a home be?
So my first thing I would do is obviously align myself with the right realtor, right? You want someone.
Mm,
Today's market is very tough. It's very challenging. It's low inventory, high demand,
mhm.
and that makes it very tough for especially first time home buyers, right? So you want to make sure that you got the right realtor that's actually going to work for you. Okay, there's a ton of realtors out there that are fantastic, but there's also a ton of realtors out there that are not so good. So you want to make sure that you got the right realtor, someone's going to work for you, that's going to put in the time and effort. Doesn't matter if it's $100,000 house or a $800,000 house, you're going to get the same type of work, right? With that said, then you also want to make sure that you got the right mortgage uh, coming at you. So
Mhm.
this is my personal opinion. My personal opinion is I usually stay away from a lot of the bigger banks, okay? Because banks
Mm.
are a financial institution. They don't focus on mortgages. I actually think you have a better option if you go with a mortgage broker because a lot of times a mortgage broker or a mortgage company, mortgage lender, they have more options and more programs. That's all they do. That's all they do is mortgages, right?
Right.
So, and this is something that I just learned over the last few years because
Mm.
I've had loans with Wells Fargo. I've had loans with Standard Federal, which is Bank of America now. I've done, bought houses with them, and I've never had problems. So it's not like that they can't do the work.
Right.
But if you're in a situation where you need lots of different options, go out there and see who's got the different options, right? Don't just go with one person just because I put it on Facebook and said, I need a recommendation. Who do I go to? Shop. That's the biggest key. Shop around.
Mm.
Everyone's got different rates. If I offered you, Kevin, if I came back and said, hey, I got you a rate at at 6.5%, and someone else says they got a rate at, 6.6%, your first assumption is you're going to go with me because I'm 6.5. But that 6.6 might have a ton of fees that are tied to that doesn't make doesn't make the loan any better. You're actually going to pay
Right.
more money with them long term than you are with this, with the 6.6 or something like that, right? So just go out there and shop. Save for down payment. Down payments are big, or appraisal guarantees today, unfortunately. As I said before, never skip an inspection. I would never, never do it. Always do an inspection. And that's pretty much it. Just making sure you align
Mm.
yourself with the right people that can give you that guidance,
Mm.
right? Don't listen to mom and dad all the time because mom and dad bought a house 30 years ago. Totally different market than it is today. Okay,
Agreed.
that you
Correct.
can't even compare the two, right?
Right.
Um, people are coming into houses, and you see a house today that's listed at 300,000. Mom and dad saying, "Oh, well, that's just the starting price. We should offer, like 275." No, it goes the other way. You have to offer 325, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the starting price as far as it's going up, not going down. It's not a negotiation type deal anymore. Just because of this market that we're in, right? Now that could change. 2 years from now, it could change 6 months from now. You never know. But today's market, if the comps were done right and the listing price was done right, that's usually the starting price, meaning it's only going
Correct.
to go up from there.
I love that response for so many different ways. For one, just starting off, different people, different guests that we have on the closing table respond differently to that question. I love how you started off by basically going through the steps of what you would do. Some people just generally mention the method that they would take: house hacking, the Burr method, fix and flip, or whatever the case may be. But you went step by step as to what you would do to purchase a home. I like that. Secondly, I like that you mentioned the difference between the times and the markets between like now, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, our parents' generation type thing. Because if I'm just speaking for maybe people in my generation, I know a lot of people in my age of the 30 somethings, we're purchasing homes now, and our parents purchased homes in like their 20s. I
Hmm.
always talk to my dad like, man, I feel like I'm way behind the eight ball because you were a homeowner, by for 10 years by the time you were my age. And we had that conversation about it's different times, different
Right.
eras, different market. And then secondly, going back to what we talked about earlier, you mentioned going to a real estate agent first before going to the mortgage, which is why I kind of asked that question earlier. So
Yeah.
that brings that full circle. So I love that response,
Yeah.
by the way.
And some of the things that people need to realize though, and this is something I've always tried to instill in my kids, is what's right for one person is not always going to be right for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
same thing,
Mm-hmm.
what's wrong for somebody is not what's wrong. It's not going to make it right for somebody else. So what I mean by that is, if I turn around and, like I said, my personal opinion is I think mortgage brokers or mortgage lenders are better than banks. Someone else is going to come back and tell you that the opposite. That's okay.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
right.
Yep, I
If
get
that's
it.
what's right for you,
Mm-hmm.
do what you got to do. I'm telling you from my experiences,
Yeah.
this is what's right for me. And I would steer my kids into going to a mortgage broker versus going to a bank.
Mm-hmm.
But if they choose otherwise, that's there's options. We're in America. There's nothing is wrong. Okay,
Correct.
everybody has a right way. Everybody has a wrong way. What's right for them might be wrong for me, but what's right for me might be wrong for them. So
Yeah.
just look at the options and take your time and don't stress over it. And like I said, align yourself with the right person, whether it's a realtor or mortgage broker or whoever it is. That person's going to guide you through the process and make sure that things get done right.
That's a fact. I always say there's a market for anything and everything,
Yes.
if you ask
Yes.
me. And everybody's in different situations, different ages, different communities, different financial situations. So
Hmm.
it's not one for all, one size fits all type methods. But
Oh yeah, yeah.
nonetheless, oh, go
I was
ahead,
just gonna say.
please.
I was just gonna say. It just all depends on what your goals are too.
Yep.
Because you mentioned like the Burr method or something like that. How can you
Hmm.
get into it? There are. If you came to me and it was the right thing, yeah, absolutely. We could go out and buy a duplex. You live in half. You rent out the other half
House
for enough
hacking.
money that yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, those are options that are out there. But it's not
Yep.
right for everybody. Not everybody wants to be the landlord.
Precisely.
Not everybody wants that responsibility, right? So that's why you have to have that initial consultation, sit down with the realtor, make sure that they're asking the right questions or you're asking the right questions, and make sure you guys build a team and get the job done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well said. Well played. We appreciate you for pulling up a chair at the closing table, Doug. Thank you so much. At this
Oh,
point,
thanks for
if
having
you
me on.
have,
It was fantastic.
yeah, man, if you have any last words or you want to tell the people how to reach out to you, please do so now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you want to reach out to me, check me out on Facebook. I'm all over social media. Most importantly, you can just call my cell phone, 734-560-3499. Again, that's 734-560-3499. And if I can't help you, I can guarantee you I'll find someone that can.
Mm,
I can refer agents outside of the state. Even outside of the country. I'm actually looking for one right now in Argentina for a guy that I know that's selling a house in Argentina. So
nice.
I'm doing
Oh,
my work for
wow.
him to try and find him a agent. So just reach out to me. I always answer my phone. That's one thing you're going to find different from different realtors. A lot of people say, you got to have the family time, you got to do this and that. I from my previous business, I was on the clock 24/7. I take calls all day throughout the day, so I'm used to it. I will always answer your call for the most part. If I'm in the middle of something like a birthday party or something like that, I'll text you back and say, "Hey, I'll call you back a little bit later." Right?
Right,
I'm not
right.
going to interrupt that or interrupt a dinner or something like that,
Hmm.
but I will always be able to get a hold of me. So,
There it is. All right, Doug. Well said again, man. Thank you so much for being here, being a guest on the closing table. We appreciate it. And for our YouTube audience watching right now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, now do us a favor. Hit that like button. We would appreciate that. Also, make sure you share the content and subscribe to our channel. And if you are listening on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platforms, please do the same. Give us a like, a 5-star rating, and subscribe to our channel for our latest content. Hey, Doug, I always like to leave our audience with a question before we leave. So this is for you, audience. What's the best piece of advice that you've gotten from any real estate agent? Don't tell us now. Leave it in the comments below. Besides that, we'll talk to you next time.